Now let's talk about defense mechanisms. And defense mechanisms, when used by the student, can be very confusing to the instructor because they're subconscious defenses against the reality of unpleasant situations. There's an unpleasant situation, so the student throws up these subconscious defenses, and they are a smokescreen, and they are very confusing to an instructor. They might possibly serve a useful purpose in some cases, but they are generally a hindrance because they involve self-deception and distortion of reality. Let's take a look at some common defense mechanisms. First of all, one of them is making excuses, or rationalization, that is called. When students cannot accept the real reason for the behavior, they make excuses to justify inadequate performance, like, I had a stupid instructor. In this case, that might be correct. It might not be a defense mechanism, but in reality, that is generally a rationalization. Another defense mechanism is flight. The student wants to escape. They try and get out of there. That can either be physically, they can actually physically get out of there, or more commonly by mental escape, and that would be called daydreaming. So that's a type of flight. Another one is aggression. The student gets angry. They get mad. That's a defense mechanism. It's kind of a smokescreen, and for instance, they might ask irrelevant questions or refuse to participate in class activities, and that'd be an example of student aggression. That's how they would show that. Another one is resignation. The student gives up, and this can happen very commonly when a student fails to understand or be able to do the early parts of a course, the early phase of a course, and he doesn't grasp the fundamentals or he didn't learn the skill, and then they become bewildered and lost in the advanced phase. They lose interest and they give up, and when they give up, that is resignation. So the job of the instructor is to understand that defense mechanisms are being used, that these are not real, and the job of the instructor is to identify the real problem and deal with that real problem. And it can be very difficult sometimes because these are very, very confusing things.